Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with Rogan Smith. On this Thursday, November 16th, is there a problem?
It's a private show.
Okay.
Show.
And,
Kendra, tell me if you could hear this too, okay?
What's that? Yeah. She'll just turn off your mic. That's all.
You just did? That's great. Okay.
So, it's Thursday. I had to attend two funerals today. And first of all, my condolences goes out to Katie on the loss of her sister, Katie Longley, and to Mario and Tony Carey and Amber and Denise and Sasha and all those who lost their father,
My condolences,
Kirk.
Katie. I didn't know our sister passed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
And, let me tell you the lesson learned. Because, you always reflect when you go to a funeral, right? I mean, there are a couple of reasons why you reflect. If you're really, really close to the person, there's sorrow and grief. Okay? There's sorrow and grief. If you're kind of associated with the person, so you don't have the deep sorrow, but you go to pay respects, then there's a reminder of death. Okay? With the really, really close people, it's both, right? Because, death. But the people you're just kind of like on the fringe, like it's your employee, colleague or something like that, where you don't know the person who died.
A colleague you don't know?
Well, you don't know the person who died. You know the colleague, but you don't know the mother.
The family member of the colleague.
Yeah, the person who died, you don't know them, but you're going to pay respects. Then you're reminded of death. Okay, it's a death reminder, and you feel obviously the grief for your friend, and so when you go to that reminder of death one, it's like, oh yeah, this is some real stuff. It's actually going to happen. And as you get older, because when you're 10, you're not thinking about death. You're thinking about marbles and a Morris Toyland.
You only think of Morris.
Yeah, you're not thinking about any kind of death.
You only think about death when you go to a funeral.
Well, most, if we as people had to think about death every single day, we probably wouldn't be able to cope. You pick up an obituary on Thursday, and when you don't see anyone you don't know, it doesn't strike you like. Oh, what a bummer. People are dying every day, but when it's really close, it's kind of like it hits home. But the thing is, as you get to my age, and I would say 55 is a turning point. When you get to 55 and you start seeing people who you're single digits away from their death, like 65. Well, that's double digits.
You start thinking that could be you?
Well,
That's going to be me?
Well, the reality is it's not 80, it's not 70 years anymore or 30 years. It's you're 60, and it's so anyway. So the thing is, this is what, and I went to see a doctor today. By the way, I want to tell you, my blood pressure is 122/74, girl. And you know why?
I don't know. Is that good or bad?
Oh, that's excellent.
I don't know the
blood pressure is supposed to be somewhere between 110 and 120 over 70 or over 80.
Oh, okay.
I was fluctuating in the 140 over 90 deal. That's not good. But but having said that, because I'm doing some walking. I didn't tell you, but I'm walking.
Where?
Just on Cable Beach.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So the thing is, and walking and exercise brings your pressure down. It's a remarkable thing. But the thing is, what I realized could my good friend Kirk, and Kirk was, let me just say, and this is in celebration of him, he was the life of the party. If there's anyone you ever know in your life, he was the one.
How old was he?
63. And, so here today, gone tomorrow. Normal day the night before. Went to sleep, didn't wake up. Heart attack. So the reality is, I'm saying to my friend, and so I went to the doctor today for something unrelated, and she was saying about how this particular thing I had is really stress related, and how you have to manage your stress, right? And it's hard to do. A lot of us aren't sleeping well. Do you sleep well? You get 8 hours? Because that's good. If you do that, that's good. You get 8 hours, Kendrick? No, a lot. It's global.
Get 8 hours?
No. It's a global. I saw it on TV. It's a global epidemic. Sleep problems. Okay.
What y'all be doing?
And it's related to a number of things. Like, for instance, I get up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I do that too. But then I could go right
3
back
times?
to sleep.
Okay,
yeah, a couple times.
Okay,
but I could go right back to sleep.
Check yourself on that UTI.
No. On that what? On that what?
You call it UTI?
That's not nice.
No. I'm just saying I got to check myself. That's why I went.
I drink a lot of water.
Well, you shouldn't drink a lot of water.
Yes, I should.
At night?
I drink of course. I have no problem getting up to use the restroom.
Well, I do because you say it breaks my sleep up.
And when you have UTIs, you don't pee that often.
You pee often,
You,
but not a lot.
you have the sensation to pee.
Well, that's even worse. Okay, but the thing is, what I'm saying is a lot of people aren't getting a lot of sleep. It's global. See, 2 out of 3 right here, right? And so people aren't getting their sleep, and it's hard. You can't catch up sleep. You know that, right? You can't make it up. So you have to have you have to reset. She said to me that in order to catch up your sleep, you literally have to find a way for like a month or so to get that 8 hours in to kind of reset your body. You can't just be tired all week and then rest on the weekend and then go back and then rest on the weekend. It won't work, right? But the point I'm making is, I said to her, it was a realization. You're 60 years old, you're 55 years. I'm saying this to my peers. Just, don't take life serious anymore, man. Just enjoy it. Because ain't nothing, you see, we were talking about off air, just enjoy it, have fun, do what you got to do, but don't, because it ain't, it don't matter. It really don't matter. That's my only little thing.
That's what everybody should be doing. Not taking life seriously, but at least not sweating the small stuff.
You got an issue. Okay, good.
So what did you think at the funeral today? I mean, because you reflect on your own life too.
Well, I didn't. Because this was a close friend. I've been reflecting from the day he died, which was November 3rd. Mm-hmm. So the funeral, and actually because of the people who know Kirk and the group of friends that we had, there was just amongst us a lot of laughs. Mm-hmm. Because this is like the party. So it was a lot of laughs. But you reflect on, because one thing that Kirk did, I don't think he stressed. He had a good time. Straight true. I mean, he may have stressed, and I don't know.
You never know what people's
going through. So. But the bottom line is, even if he stressed, he enjoyed himself straight through. Mm-hmm. Okay.
He must have been someone special for this man to tuck in his shirt.
Let me give you the kind of joke that the kind of life we had with Kirk. So we went to the Lipton Open. You remember that?
No.
It's a tennis tournament. It's now called something else, I think, probably the Ericsson or something. It used to be called the Lipton Open in Biscayne, Florida. So we stayed at the, I forget the name of the hotel. I think it was the Mayfair. It was like 4 of us in one room, dudes. So we had to get to Biscayne, which is a ways away, right? So we somehow managed to get a car or taxi to this area. And then there's a bus to carry you over to Biscayne. So when we get it, but it's a bus only for people in hotels in that area. So when all 4 of us, it's me, Mario, Kirk, Tony, and someone else, obviously not related, get on the bus, the guy says, no, this is only for families who are staying in the hotel. So Kirk just says, well, let me see that list. He said to the guy, let me see the list. So he gets the list from the guy, and he sees a list on there. Yeah, Fernandez, that's us. Okay? We're the Fernandez family. Okay, the guy didn't even know how to respond. He just let us on the bus. He just let us. But that's the kind of person Kirk was, right? He just bold. Okay, so we get to the Lipton Open, and he's all of a sudden we don't see him, and he's in the VIP section behind the gate. I said, Kirk, well, how you getting in? Just come around. He said, we can't come around. When I look, he has on a credential. But the credential says Daytona 2000 something. It's like the Daytona race car race, and we had a tennis tournament. Okay, he just flashed him the thing and go. No fear, because the worst thing that can happen is they say no.
You know who that reminds me of?
Who?
Chiquita.
Who's Chiquita?
Who's Chiquita?
Archer?
Chiquita Archer.
Yeah, no fear.
She's that type of person. Like, I could see her getting credentials and be like, how did you even do that?
Yeah, but it's not a credential for that event.
It don't matter what it is. That's just her personality.
I mean,
I could see her
and
doing
that same trip, I'll never forget, we wanted to go to this club, a nightclub. And it was, big line. You know how these clubs have big lines, right? And he goes to the back door, and there's a bouncer there. And he talks to the guy, and next thing you know, we're in. So I said, Kirk, what did you tell him? He said, he told me in a band.
I don't know what band that is.
Okay, we get a band. Okay. So, and then had the T Connection.
Yeah,
you remember the T Connection?
I love T Connection.
One time we were in a place, and Kirk was in a band. He could play the guitar. And he told them we were in the TD Connection. And next thing you know, he on the stage playing with the group. He played with the group.
The STD Connection.
Oh, boy, no. So, dear friend missing, man, dear friend. So, we'll be right back. What's going on, girl?
What's going on?
Our guest this afternoon is Press Sec, Anthony Ace Newbold.
Lots going on in the news. But before we even get to local stuff, you see the people really coming out of...
Remora?
No.
Ray Moore.
Roy.
Ray. Yeah.
Roy
Is it
Moore.
Roy or Ray? Whatever, I call him Remora. And the only thing that's happening is more people coming out.
I'm checking for him.
He up to about 18 now.
Now they got a Michigan woman saying that the former President George Bush...
What George said, George said something like, I was frisky or something like that, or I was in the wheelchair. And something. George
he's in the wheelchair now, but he was in the wheelchair at the time. This was 92.
Yeah. But at least with George, who cares? I'm saying who cares? George ain't got nothing to lose. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah, because he on his way out?
George is going like, what you can do to me? I don't even care, Barbara Rami. The hell with her.
You know Terry Crews.
Who's Terry Crews?
He's an actor and a former NFL player.
I don't know him.
You do know him.
Well, maybe I do.
You ever watch White Chicks?
No.
It's a series? No. White Chicks was
like with the Wayans brothers.
Yes,
but I don't remember the Crews.
You ever watch Everybody Hates Chris?
Everybody Hates Chris?
Yes.
No. I know Everybody Loves Ray.
No.
Okay, I don't know the hate ones.
That's a boring show, by the way.
No, I think I'm going
to show you a picture of him.
Terry. Oh, that guy, the big guy. He was in that movie when they went to Africa.
With Drew Barrymore and Blended.
That.
That's right. See, I knew you would have recognized him from one of those shows. But he,
feeling someone up?
No, someone groped him. A man, a super agent in Hollywood.
So I want to see the size of that agent.
He's not that big compared to Terry Crews.
That's what I'm saying. When did he grope Terry? When he was young?
No, this is last year at an event.
And Terry ain't take him out?
No, and you know why? And I respect him for this, though. Because he said he had a conversation with his wife, right? No, listen, this man came up, so he was making all these gestures at him, these sexual gestures at him at the party, sticking out the tongue, doing all this suggestive stuff, and came over to him and grabbed his junk. You know what I'm saying?
Now,
in front of his
junk,
wife.
You're talking about the stuff in his garage?
His penis.
Okay.
All
right.
Grabbed it in front of his wife. And he said he felt like he wanted to punch this guy, but he realized how the media would play this if he had done that. This big black man attacking this white guy. Yeah, the BBM.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he spoke up. And you know what's so funny?
So what was to do it? He just said he couldn't control. He was just.
He said it was a very odd behavior. This guy is like an agent for like Adam Sandler and I think Eddie Murphy, all these big name stars or whatever. So it puts you in a very precarious situation.
Well,
you're not going to go attack him like that.
He shouldn't have hit him. But next time, like when he was like walking somewhere, you should trip him down.
Too tame.
No, you trip him down.
You either do one thing or you don't do the other. Or you don't do it at all.
Yeah. But Terry, huh?
But that's amazing to see a guy
it's an epidemic type thing. It's an epidemic situation. But Ray, you heard? No, you have to hear this one about Ray. Ray first of all, they banned Ray from a mall. You knew that, right?
That. Yeah, I knew that.
So when Ray went to the mall to the Sears, Ray got infatuated with this, I guess, 14-year-old girl or whatever. And he kept asking her for a number, and the girl wouldn't give it to him. But somehow she let slip out where she went to high school.
It's Roy.
Do you know what Ray did?
Stop calling him Ray.
Roy, whatever. Idiot. That's what I'll call him. But you know what he did? He called the high school and made them announce her name to come to the office.
There's a man who on a mission.
Now, I know in the Bahamas, I don't know if they call it in the States, your boy Ray was running hot. He can call, you can imagine someone calling QC and saying, listen, I need you to call Rogan out of class on the intercom to come to the office so I can talk to Rogan Smith. Can you report to the office, please?
For Mr. Moore to talk to me. Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's sick.
So someone asked him, they asked the reporter, have you found any evidence of Ray dating anyone his own age? Or going after anyone his own?
Married?
Yeah, and his wife looks like younger than him.
Like a lot younger?
She looks, Ray is probably 70. So I think it looks like she's like 50. Ray? I mean, Roy, whatever. Is Roy, Ray? Isn't there Ray Moore somewhere? Anyway, Roy Moore, Mr. Moore. So I think Roy up to, and the thing is, what I find incredible is Roy, that's his name, Roy, is saying, who would think that any of this stuff is real from these women to come 40 years later? And by the way, these were teens. Well, look at your boy Bill in the robe. They were 40 years ago.
Yeah. It doesn't matter when the person steps forward.
And you know what's sad? Well, I'll tell you what's sad. It's humorous, actually.
What?
It's humorous, and it has nothing to do with the ladies. The one person who cannot say a single word
Is Trump?
is Trump, and he has not said a word. Because he know as soon as people just waiting.
They're waiting for him to say something.
See, first of all, they waiting.
But was
First
it
of all,
said
they
for
said
any underage girls? Now they could get him on the unless he's done some stuff.
First of all,
they could get him on talking about how
women,
he does women.
But women accuse him of groping.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm not underage.
Yeah, but it's still assault. It's like sexual assault. You said, he might be worse because you can't even say who determined the age thing, right? Mm-hmm. But he groped the women accused him of groping, sexual assault, and so what is happening now is all the Democrats and all the people who are against Trump are saying, well, it'd be really nice if the president would just say something.
Yeah, well,
it's his place.
Well,
and they're just waiting for him.
They could be waiting, but they need to be careful too because all of them got skeletons.
Well, no, yeah, but I'm just saying the people who don't have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying is they're just waiting. See, it's a lose-lose. The president isn't saying anything. Why isn't he saying anything? He should be saying something as a president. And as soon as he opened his mouth, now what kind of kettle pot action we got going here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he ain't gonna say
okay,
that.
he is the only one who's
smart to stay quiet.
But the thing is, even in his quietness, it's crazy because he's the leader of the Republican Party, and he should be saying, Roy or Ray or whatever your name, Ramor, you can't run with me. But then we can run with you because y'all
that's what we do.
Because we in the Winnebago and you can grab the thingums.
This is what we do. You Kendrick have anything to declare?
This is how we do it.
Anything to declare about groping any women?
Mm-mm.
No women?
No
No
groping.
women being groped?
No. Well, it's kind of it's almost like how outlandish is that? Because anyone who I know, I think they'll just turn around and give you one big slap.
Yeah.
Again, if I come and grope you, what you gonna do?
You've groped me before.
Did I groped you?
Mm-hmm.
When did I grope you?
Last year.
When?
Relax. It's
did
a
I
joke.
grope you?
It's a joke.
Okay. Because I want to know.
It's a joke.
Let's clear it out on the air.
You're so scared just now.
Well, you're outing me on the air. In fact, did you know that you groped me?
I groped you.
You groped me, boy.
I groped you.
And you groped me in my junk, as I say.
I groped you on no junk, boy.
Okay.
I punched you.
No, well, that's assault.
That's assault.
Yeah. In fact, you see that? She said it.
Yeah.
And
you
I'm
punched
arresting
me.
you. I didn't punch you.
Yes, you have.
No, see, here's the difference.
And you throw things at me all the time.
Here's the difference.
You threw a full water bottle at me.
No,
Don't
I
lie.
rolled it.
No,
I rolled it.
You threw it at
like
me.
to catch. Here, catch it.
As I'm sitting down reading the newspaper, you threw a water bottle at me.
I can't help it if you're not looking. The bottom line is, I'm saying this. I'm not admitting to
assault.
You're admitting to assaulting me. I'm not admitting Jack. Okay.
You're a liar.
So you on the air you said so.
Yes, I assaulted you.
When was that?
You assaulted me.
When was that?
You threw
when
the water
was that
bottle.
that you punched me? When did you punch me?
Probably last year.
Okay, so the statute of limitations doesn't run out. So if
year,
you do anything to me that pissed off, I was charging you with that. And I don't admit nothing.
And you threw the water bottle at me.
No, I did not. I said catch. I said catch. Yeah,
no,
catch.
No.
Well, that's what I said. I'm not admitting throwing anything at you. You admitted on the air to the people in the Bahamas that you assaulted me, and the statute of limitations aren't run out. Thank you.
When I say he
well, I'm saying, what kind of thing are you doing? Because immediately I could charge you at libel. Immediately.
You're scared.
Plus, you probably asked for me to grope you.
No.
Did you ask? That's what I was going to say.
Don't be groped by nobody.
If you were going to sit on this air and say, well, I got to come up with something.
No,
I don't believe. I personally, let me just say this. I think it's just outlandish that any male would go up to a female. Now, hold on. Let me say this.
I can tell you something
let me say
right
this.
now.
Let me say
Go
this.
ahead.
Let me say this.
I can tell you something right now.
I don't know about drunken situations. Okay? Because drunken situations, a lot of people do a lot of things out of control.
Excuse it.
But no, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that's, okay? What I'm talking about, and a lot of these people seem to be the groping types.
I can tell you something.
They seem to be repetitive. Like they don't, this is like what they do.
You want me to tell you a story?
Is it about me?
No.
Okay,
you assault me, and I assault you.
No. See? Once again.
You assault me, and I assault you. I said, yes.
Oh, did I? No, you
I
assaulted
you,
me? Yeah.
And you threw a water bottle at me.
Don't recall that.
Okay, you don't got to recall.
But she admitted she assaulted me.
Listen, there's a man, right? I've been groped before, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Would we like to?
I'll tell you.
By whom?
No, I can't. I'm not going to say by whom. I'm not going to say by whom, right? But I'll say this is a person in the industry.
In the radio industry?
In the journalism industry.
Okay.
Right? No. Never. I hear it gotten punched.
Okay.
Right? But let me tell you how this I can tell you off air.
Okay.
And I told my friend Tashina.
Shane's?
I told her. I told several of my other friends after it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I told my friend Chiquita. Stop trying to figure it out. I can tell you after the end. Just because I was so disturbed by it, right?
Uh-huh.
I was at a bamboo shack. Okay?
A BS?
Bamboo shack.
Okay.
And this man came up to me. I know him.
And he knows you.
He knows me and I know him.
Mm-hmm.
And he, in the front of people, took his hand
Right.
and grabbed my bottom. Now, I mean, and grabbed. Grabbed my bottom in the front of people.
Yeah.
And I jumped. I was at the window ordering. So I didn't know who was coming up behind me, right? It's on Nassau Street.
Okay. So he went with two tie.
I try to tell my story.
Okay,
You see? I can't tell you anything. You should excuse yourself so I can tell this conversation. Tell it. Go. You're so annoying. And he grabbed my bottom. I mean, it was so sexually charged. It was nasty. And I turned around because I didn't know who it was. Because it could have been anybody who was around at the time. And I cursed him. I was like, what the did you just do?
What the shack, okay.
What the shack did you just do? And I punched him. And he was like, oh, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Not that people around watching like, what the heck? I see this man quite often. I don't speak to him at all.
Did you have respect for him before the groping?
I wouldn't say respect.
But you were.
But I mean, I was cordial.
Yeah.
Now I don't speak to him at all. I won't even say good morning. That's how angry I was at him, and he never apologized, right? Mm-hmm. And he's to the point where he'll say, oh, you a rude woman, you disgusting or whatever. I don't know if he was drunk or what. I suspect he may have been, but it doesn't matter to me. You don't have the right to put your hands on me. And I was so upset at that time. And I don't speak to him, and he has an attitude because I don't talk to him. Does
he acquaint the two incidences?
I don't even know if he remembers the incident.
Well, you should confront him with it.
I am getting close to that point.
Yeah, you should confront him with it.
I'm getting close to that point. I don't have any dealings with him.
No, because he's having this thing. He needs to understand, first of all, why you don't speak to him. Maybe his attitude will change.
I don't know what your problem is. That's what he
I'll
always
tell
says.
you, and then you go, well, let me explain what my problem is.
But every time he asks or says that, it's during inappropriate times. Where if I blast him and say something, it's gonna lead to something else.
You should say, well, come over here a second. Let me tell you what my problem is. Would you like me to act it when you call me next time? We're gonna confront him together.
He's disgusting.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, I know the chap as well.
Oh, yes. I'll tell you.
Okay.
And you're going to say, makes sense.
Okay.
You're going to say that. Makes sense.
After we get off, how much time we got left? 3 minutes. I have to wait. 4 minutes before I guess. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but
he was
punched and he was verbally reprimanded on the spot. But I don't feel comfortable with him at all.
Okay.
I don't want to be in his presence. I don't want to see him anymore.
No, I imagine it is, and guys don't like. This guy Terry Crews obviously would have felt it, but guys, I don't know if they get it in terms of the kind of. And I mean, I'm saying I don't even get it. I'm not trying to say the kind of violation.
It is a violation
that women must feel, because guys tend to think like, well, yeah, what's the big deal? Because I don't mind if you grab me. That's how they think. But obviously, no, that's not the case, because if someone grabbed you who you didn't want to grab
that's true.
you
Then
would feel
violated.
Right. So, like, Terry didn't obviously feel fun.
No.
So.
Yeah. And he said it took the Harvey Weinstein incident for him to even speak out. And, like, a lot of times people will say, oh, men are being assaulted or whatever, and they need to come and speak out. And when they do, people say,
well, the casting couch, I imagine, applies to everyone, because, the thing is with these guys, what I realized, and I saw a movie the other day, I got to tell you the name of it. But anyway, I forget, but it was a kind of a B-rated movie. The thing about these guys in the Hollywood, or no, forget about Hollywood, but these guys in power, with power, okay? It's like nothing is out of bounds. The regular things in life bores them now.
You're right.
Okay,
They've had the regular things in life.
I've had orgies.
Yeah. So what's the next level?
Yeah, what's
it's
the
almost
next?
like a drug.
Yeah. So it's like, they nothing excites them. I think they're sociopaths.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
They gotta go to
when you get to that level, you're a sociopath. You know that, right? When you get to, come on in, man, Mr. Press Secretary.
Ace?
When you get to the level of high, powerful, usually you're fairly sociopathic because you cannot really care about the damage you do to people on the way up. It's you have no empathy.
It's a serious behavior, boy. Yeah, but it's like a drug.
Well, I know it's something in the envelope must be good for me, man. That look like that's one in the envelope.
Maybe
That got to be something, man. Some kind of pass or some kind of maybe it's a knighthood. Is that a knighthood for me? Or at least
I seriously doubt that Ace would walk in with a
Ace is my man. You know what he'll do? Let me tell you why he'll do it.
Knighted?
When Ace became press secretary, I'm outing him on the radio now.
Don't embarrass him.
No, I'm not going to embarrass him. He called me. We talk. I knew it ahead of time. So he would tell me ahead of time, listen, boy, you was a knight.
Would you accept it?
No.
Why not?
I don't believe in that stuff. It's like the wigs. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith. Rogan Smith.
Yes, sir.
Are you staying with us?
6:30.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, I leave at 6:30, y'all.
Yes, Rogan Smith is going to leave us, Ace. It'll just be you and I.
I have
to.
No,
you're not. Okay, so
really, right? No, you're not.
No, you're not. So
or maybe the first break.
Our guest this afternoon is Press Sec, and I don't think we can classify him, Rogan Smith, as a guest.
So much as a regular contributor?
I think no. That's even no. It's not a regular contributor. It's kind of like, I don't know. I'm going to come up with something before that, but it's not a guest. It's kind of like almost a kind of a co-host. But you can't say that because it's a thing.
That is
anyway,
true.
we're going to put something in. We're going to come.
Put him in the co-host
it's almost like,
realm for
It's almost like he's giving his monthly report. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like a segment.
Okay, so that's a contributor.
Okay. Yeah, no. The contributors, they come, they drop a little thing. No,
he comes.
He's a monthly. It's a monthly segment. Anyway, we'll come up with a thing because you have to have a title.
I'm sure you will.
What is Candy's? What is Candy's?
Candy is like she's like that too, but we haven't given come in a name. We got to come up with names for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Candy's more regular than him, so let's sing.
True.
She has a song and everything. He doesn't have a song.
Really?
So, yeah. Okay.
Cameos, Candy.
Yeah. So you don't have a song.
Well, we need a song.
We're not getting you a song.
I don't know. We need a song.
We're not getting you a song. Okay. Nobody. Okay. So anyway. So
listen. If we had the sensibilities, let me not say that because that says we're not sensitive people over here. If we had laws like the U.S., a lot of us would be in jail.
Oh, I know that. Not me, but yeah, I agree.
Of course not. I mean,
when you say a lot of us, you mean a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Just say a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Let's say a lot of us, for crying out loud. You done something wrong that you think you should be in jail for?
A lot of people, man.
Yeah,
listen, you can't hug somebody in the U.S. That's.
No, a lot of us then.
A lot of us. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you can't. In the States.
You're not thinking at least I'm not thinking anything bad. That's me. I'm a hugger.
But you haven't groped. You hugged.
Groped?
No.
You didn't grab nobody bungie.
No,
you grab anybody bungie?
See, once you cup.
No.
See, like Kirk Smith has a phrase.
I'm sure.
Kirk Smith has a phrase. Okay, it's called cupping. Okay?
I got a visual.
Once you cup.
Right?
Yeah, once you cup, that's it.
That's it.
If you just flat hand, hug, okay? And also,
above
the waist.
Above the waist.
Yeah, you can't be hugging no one hole in the buttock.
Yeah, I agree.
That's cupping.
Yeah.
So, okay. But these people, which you're talking about in the States, they're in a different world. They're in a different world, man. But you know what it is?
What?
And you see it, right? Because think about this, and I'm not excluding because obviously it happens across all spheres.
What's that?
Okay, but look where it happens most, and I'd say it's in the powerful CEO world, right? In that it's power. It's
generally
a power
that's
thing.
what it is.
It's like I can get away with it.
Yeah,
I can do whatever I want.
And they've been enabled, or what's the word? Because for years they've been doing it. So it's
yeah.
It's power, and it's that whole dynamic, men and women.
Yeah.
We have the power.
Yeah.
You wanna play in our yard?
Yeah.
this is what happens here.
Oh,
You know,
this
hi
is what
darling, hey
happens, huh?
sweetie.
Yeah. Well, see now, but hold on. See now in the Bahamas, right?
See, that's what I just
cultural
said.
difference.
In the
Yeah.
Bahamas,
See, you
We do
got to
that.
make sure you're bilingual, because if you go to the States, it's ma'am.
yeah, all the
Okay.
time.
Now, if you're in the Bahamas, see, I tell and I notice this dynamic. You go to a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Bahamians are not initiators of warmth. Okay?
disagree with
Listen, let
that.
me explain what I mean now. When it comes in a service environment, for instance. So, in other words, when they approach you in a service environment, they are not going to be necessarily the initiator of the warmth. But if you, as the customer, say, how you doing, darling? Oh, all of a sudden now, we are friends. Yeah,
I
baby.
agree with that.
You don't just check it out
No,
next
man,
time.
I've seen
There could be
warm
some grumpiness,
servers. They will come.
dating fish,
No, man.
and all that.
No, they've been warm.
I just think that's the thing.
No.
It's not all the time, but there's a
I think-
breakdown.
I
You
think
have to
they-
break down.
I think what happens is they read the customer. So if the customer has a look that is very stern, they'll be like, okay, they'll approach them differently. But if you, hey, if you have that,
That's what I'm saying.
if you have that
That's
face,
what I'm
okay,
saying.
you don't have to verbalize it.
Okay,
But if
you don't have to
that face,
verbalize it, but you can't go
Then
in
they
there
read you.
neutral. Okay, neutral and them is a problem.
Neutral could be just
Okay,
seen as
neutral is
stern.
I got to come neutral or sour.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you come in there, hey, honey, okay, everyone's happy. Okay,
Yeah.
You check it out.
I don't know, and maybe
check it out.
maybe
Do
it
the
is
experiment.
True.
Do the experiment. Go
But-
to use you in government. Go to government office with stern face. Who we think he is.
Boy, you don't want to get me started.
Don't
with
get
that.
started. Use the press act. Okay, but just do the
I
experiment.
have to be politic and diplomatic.
Do the experiment. That's all. Just go in.
Yeah, I don't have to do any more experiments.
Try stern. Oh, you don't experiment.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. The minute I walked in everywhere,
Yeah.
I'm the Prime Minister's press secretary.
Yeah.
I automatically have a
respect
target on my back.
Yeah.
Oh, I know he's talking
Come
about
on.
to get a level of respect.
Yeah. No,
Just because of the title.
It's the Bahamas, man.
But
wrong with you?
respect. We have a different way of looking at respect. Respect is a kind of like, I see.
They get to
See
it.
what I mean?
Listen, Rogan.
Hey.
They get to it because of how I
Conduct
comport
yourself.
myself.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the first thing would be, who do you think he is?
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Come on.
Really?
Oh,
Also,
Bahamas. What's wrong with
use
you?
that. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Right,
Really?
You think you can get away because
no.
use that?
What is that? What that is get you?
Yeah, what that mean?
Like he coming here with his degree.
Whatever.
They mad
They don't like no degree now.
No,
Just 'cause he
it
get
depends
degree.
on how you conduct yourself.
I been here years. See, what do you need a degree can do me? Anyway,
But
Sir.
that is a concern. Not that I'm not talking about.
Right.
It.
Yeah,
Listen, I work for the Prime Minister. I just do a job. You could like me or don't like me.
Yeah.
I don't
It
care.
is what it is.
Yeah. But that I've been here 30 years thing is going to continue to be the
I've been here
death
30
of
years.
the Bahamas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially people. Let me tell you one.
I have
of
an
the,
answer for that when you finish.
Yeah, one of the scary things is most of the people in the civil service been there for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've not had the
You have people
exposure,
retiring at 40 something.
you
I'm
retiring
serious.
at 40 something.
Yeah.
If
'cause
you
they-
haven't had the exposure to another environment, you really don't have anything to measure.
No
Yes,
gauge.
that's true.
Right.
Yeah, how
yeah.
good you are.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have
That's so
anything to
true.
This
measure
is
it
what we
against.
do.
Yeah.
And so
Ooh, that's scary.
it's not good. It's not
That is
good.
scary.
See,
Yeah.
but see, that's why I worked, by the way, I worked in government, and unlike the 30-year people, mine was 2 weeks.
And you say to me, get up out of here. I remember you told me this.
Okay? All right? I went into a government office. I'm not going to say where. And I just come back from graduate school.
They remember.
And because I still talk to them, to some of those folks. But I went, this was where they moved. Okay? But I went into this area, and it was this big room. And it had a desk in one corner and a couple of chairs never matching in another corner.
Okay.
Okay? And if the place was derelict, I think there was paper, and it's just bad. And I just finished my degree in some really stellar environments, University of Georgia, just beautiful type environments. I saw my friends work and all that. And I first of all, it took me a couple of weeks to get to the job. And then when I finally got there, I felt nothing but despair. I felt, oh my, This is what I'm here. This is what I'm going to have to subject myself to. And then I said to myself, you know what? Stop. Give it a chance. Give it a chance.
A chance lasted 2 weeks.
Give it a chance. So I went in and I did the thing, and I started writing up a report, Ace Newbold, on circuit breakers. Well, now I'm saying where it was. It was the property tax department.
Okay.
I wrote this thing on circuit breakers, which is a thing. It's a discount. That's all it means. It's just a property tax people will for saying discount. As you get older, the property tax gets cheaper.
Right.
Because you're not earning the same income. And I wrote that paper.
Feeling really good about yourself.
And I wrote that paper, and by the time I got down to halfway, I said something clicked in my mind to say, well, where is going? Where's this paper going? Okay. I tore that up. I wrote my letter of resignation.
Really?
Yeah. I just decided, you know what? Don't be in there and be unhappy and don't whine and all that. And they know the argument about you can change. No. There's no changing.
No, there's no changing some places. That's true.
I would change.
Yeah.
They would make me change.
Yes. But how do you change that then, Ed?
Well, from the outside. So I decided that I'm going to lobby from the outside. Because when you're in the inside, it's very hard to get the change.
To you on the inside.
And then you're kind of subjected, right? But, you know, but listen, but the answer I was going to tell you when someone said, when they say to you about 30 years, the real stark response is, and what do you have to show for it? Because that's the bottom line.
They may not be able to show it to you.
Well, it ain't nothing.
No.
I mean, I'm saying, what can
what
you
have
look?
Done?
I mean, and I have to I'll say this now again. We know there are exceptions, but they know who they are, so we don't need to cover that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, for those people who would stand in your face, but I've been here 30 years. Well, then tell me what, madam, or what sir, have you been able to demonstrate that you have done for the betterment of the Bahamian people?
In the past 3 decades.
It's just funny that we're talking about this because I ran into somebody yesterday, last night, and he was telling me we were just having a general conversation, and he just out of the blue said, "I'm sorry for your minister," and he was talking about a specific ministry. I don't want to. And I said, "What do you mean, my minister? He's the Bahamas minister." He said, "All right, you think so?" I said, "Why are you sorry for him?" He said, "Because the people in there who have to help him on his run." Exactly.
No, that's the truth.
That was my reaction.
I already believe I know who you mean.
That was my reaction.
I already believe I know you mean.
And they the people
on his run.
Yeah, they the people who are responsible for running your country, Rogan.
Minister run.
Everyone I talk to, and I'm sure people get tired of hearing me say it. I don't care.
Yeah, but see, you got to
general people, general Bahamians. We have to accept that we have some responsibility for how our country functions.
This is how it has to go. The time has come for us to progress. For instance, I've seen. I was really, we had Marvin Dames on the show the other day. And, you hear the stuff. And then 2 days later, I see where they had the body cams.
Right.
And I say, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's
you got to do some things. Yes.
To where, why is it that I could go to the United States of America, these guys have body cams, and we don't have body cams? We don't know where the body cam shop is? Don't you just go to the body cam shop? You know what I'm saying?
No, that's too...
That's too basic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go to the body cam shop. There's nothing at the body cam shop that says these are only reserved for U.S. cops.
Yeah.
They sell in body cams.
Yeah, but that makes people accountable.
Exactly. But that's the kind of mechanism that's come in play. And by the way, if you have a body cam, don't come... Now, this would be run we're not on. Don't come and say it wasn't working. Or you didn't turn it on. Because now that's a problem. Because whatever that person said, you have a problem because you should have had your body cam working. And before you left, you should have tested the body cam to make sure it was working for your protection and for the protection of the general public.
Well, yeah, and because it works both ways is what I was going to say.
Because it tests their behavior as well.
It makes the policeman behave,
and it makes the customer
and the public
behave
as well.
Everyone being taped.
Yes.
We got a break. We'll be right back. I need Sally. Anyway, I ain't checking for y'all like that.
that a country?
What's that? Kisal? It's a country, yeah. It's a whole country where only the sloops go. Listen, so anyway. You got a couple of things. What you want to talk about, man? You got anything on your agenda?
No. It's up to you. Whatever you want to talk to me about.
A lot of stuff has been going on. I've been seeing stuff happen, but let's talk about whatever it is that you can talk about. I saw an analysis or a regional, what do you call it, comparison of parliamentary salaries. But as I said to someone, I never know, when it comes to politicians, I can never ever know what the real tactic is. Okay? Like, for instance, someone said, did Dr. Minnis mention that because his colleagues were pressing him to do it, and so he said, okay, I'm doing it, and boom, see now, there's other people react, okay, that's the end of that. Or is it that, let's get it out now, so by the time we look into rolling that around, if the economy is turned around, all those arguments about things aren't doing well, so that's out of the way now? I don't know. I mean, you tell me what you can tell me about that.
He said what he felt, given what's in front of him.
Well, it's factual.
Yeah, it's just, he said it.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
But why are people not ready for it? Why are people? I mean, I'm asking.
People will never be ready for it. They've never been ready for it. There was the last substantive committee that looked at salaries for politicians was in 2000.
Right. Bless you.
Headed by Sir Arthur Folkes and the late Sir Clement Maynard. That report was commissioned by former Prime Minister Ingram. And they made some recommendations that I guess as the people saw it, they would have a baby.
Yeah.
But Mr. Ingram didn't move on it for whatever reason. Because generally when people hear politicians, people presume you're an MP, even though they know MPs only make $28,000.
They assume that in order to get there.
No, they assume MPs are rich people, or they have access to lots of money, and so you have money.
Yeah.
You don't need to make no money.
Here's the thing, the take, I tried to, I didn't comment on it. I try to just straight up, get out of the noise. There's sometimes when things are, say, egregious. So in other words, yes, everyone on the planet wants a raise.
True.
There's no doubt about that. And everyone probably deserves a raise. But let's just suppose the average salary for, let's just say, a person who runs the board at KISS FM globally is $50,000. Let's just assume that.
Okay.
And let's suppose Ken, living in the Bahamas, let's suppose, for the sake of argument, he is making 40. Okay, the average is 50,
right,
but Ken is making 40. So then you start saying, well, I'm not at the same level as my... Then people start going, that's a problem, and, you get over it, and or they come up with, in the States they have income tax, they don't have income tax here, and then people say, well, this standard of living is higher here. You get into that thing. But let's suppose Ken's salary is $10,000 when the average is 40 or 50. Well, then that's egregious, right? That's almost like why that makes no sense. And then here's the problem. You ain't gonna have Ken. What you gonna have is a Mickey Mouse. Now, this is putting a little whammy on the thing, right? Because you gonna have some Mickey Mouse Kens because that's what you're paying for. Okay.
You get what you pay for.
Now, let me say this, and this is no offense to my good friends and in the House of Assembly, because the problem is this: the mix of talent. So forget about the mix of talent is very limited in the Bahamas, period, because of our size. But if you limit it to where only, and I'm going to make a confession here. If you limit it to where only wealthy people, or actually poor people who have something to gain, can be in the House of Assembly, then you have a problem, because that's not the majority of folk, right? You want people who are educated, you want people who have had experiences, and that tends to be people in the middle class, professional level. And
generally.
Right. So they can't, so I'm going to, like I said, make this confession. I wanted to be in the politics. I could not afford it. Simple. I'm just simple. Now, I could get people to back me, but then now
they own
that's
you.
another problem.
They own you.
Okay? So I didn't want to be in that boat, so to speak, okay?
And I'm sure we've had conversations with a lot of people. That's one of the reasons a lot more qualified people don't get into politics.
It doesn't make sense.
The other reason is people in politics are open to abuse. We abuse them. And
that's certainly
recently it's bled over to their families.
But I mean, who's going to
subject
to that? Yeah.
No.
But I mean, I was focused on the salary issue.
Salary,
but
listen,
that's important. You can't.
It is important.
You because based on the laws, if I know correctly, if as a minister, for instance, let's look as a minister, right? Basically, you're not allowed to work anywhere else.
No, you can't work anywhere else.
Okay.
No, that's your job.
So if you're making $300,000 or $400,000, I'm just throwing numbers out in the private sector. How do you go to 66?
That's a good question.
How do you do that? I mean, how does that math work?
That's what it is. And it's been my position for years now. First of all, I always advocated for a new parliamentary complex because I think trying to stay where parliamentarians perform now is just the height of stupidity. They should be out of there. I think there should be a parliamentary complex with offices for all members of parliament as well as for senators, along with their staff. And you have reason then to say to people, I don't want you doing nothing else. This is where you work for me.
Right.
And I want to have access to you as well.
And I will put some serious standards and parameters on in terms of how you manage money, finances,
everything.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be under a microscope.
And then you can make demands at that point. I'll tell you, I don't like politics or anyone else that much to open myself and my family to the abuse that politicians take for $28,000. No, I won't do it.
No. Those salaries, by the way, came from, I think, the era when, the wealthy men. This was like a stipend.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah, it was a stipend for the people who already had means.
Yeah, not only that, they shared up the economy. Well, they didn't need any salary. Yeah. Come on, shipping is mine. All right.
Yeah, this piece of land is mine.
Yeah,
I get this crown land. Yeah.
Agriculture is mine. Whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so there was no need for that. And let me say this again: whatever nuances there may have been put on the Prime Minister's announcements have come either from myself or other ministers, or in the case of the speaker who spoke yesterday, with good point. Prime Minister said simply, I'm going to bring a bill, raise the salary of MPs. I'm going to appoint a committee that's going to investigate the entire public sector to make sure that we have parity in jobs, that we have people in jobs who can do them and are qualified to do them and are prepared to do them. And we're going to find a way to get some qualified young people in there.
It's
meritocracy, right? For people who earn it. Period.
So you know how you do that, and you know how you can do that, but it'll take a lifetime. Is basically there has to be a process of attrition. Okay.
Yes.
So you now say, okay, if you're going to be X, the salary for X is this, but you have to be at this level. Yes. So in other words, just because you're going to be, I don't know, an economist, okay, at the X place. Well, you know what? Just because they call you an economist doesn't mean you're an economist. But the reality is, if you want to be an economist that makes $100,000, then you have to have a master's in economics. Yeah. Now, if you don't have a master, you can still work here.
Right.
Because you've been here for 30 years. We know you've been here for 30 years, so you can still work here. But when you fly out of here, we're not replacing you with another person that doesn't have a master's in economics.
Well, that's the other thing, and which is something that the Prime Minister has instituted. Once somebody has reached the age of retirement, you need to retire.
Yeah.
We have some.
What is the percentage of people in the service who are retirement age who haven't retired?
I can't tell you that. I know there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
Some of them who were engaged in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Prime Minister says you can't do that. I got some young people who are eminently qualified to do these jobs. They have nowhere to go.
But isn't there also a nice little flaw in our system that, I mean, you look at the place like, say, the United States, and I know we can't compare ourselves, and you look at their civil service.
Mm-hmm.
Those people who work in that have a very, let's just say, solid pension plan, so that when they do retire,
mm-hmm.
They can live decently. Not wealthy, but they can pay the bills. And are we far short in terms of what we do generally? In other words, I think a lot of people who are retired come back to work because they have to work.
Yeah, well, it would help if they were really responsible people
mm-hmm.
and they contributed to their pensions.
See, let me tell you what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
You notice I took a little silence here. Let me tell you what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, and all of those who are listening out there. What we're doing now is we're talking responsibly. Okay? There's a lot of people who are going to take umbrance. But obviously, Ace is not elected to anywhere.
No, I'm
so
not.
he doesn't give two hoots. And the reality is,
I do.
Okay? Well, you give two hoots about the Bahamas, right?
Yes.
So the reality is, these are we can't go on and on.
That's it. That's also, we talk about taking a personal responsibility for your life. That's part of it.
Yeah.
And, Deputy Prime Minister talked about in the House and earlier this week about getting to the accrual accounting system
mm-hmm.
as opposed to this cash thing
mm-hmm.
where we go, the deficit is only that. No, it's not. It's 10 times that. And we talk about coming into office just like 1992. You got these checks all over the place because people can't cash them. And the deficit is only that? No, it is not. We got to be responsible at some point. And you know what has happened? Dr. Hubert Minnis has called the Bahamians bluff. And he said, you know what? I'm anti-corruption. I'm going to reform this place. Vote for me. And they did. You hear people now saying, ain't I hear nothing about they arresting all these people? Who's they? No. These audits have been commissioned, and everybody is being reviewed. I keep saying that in all of my briefings. Everybody's being reviewed. In some cases, there will be forensic audits because they will be required. It's going to happen. You can clean it up as much as he can, because you're talking about this battleship called the civil service that may or may not work with you.
But you know what I'm saying, too, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, is the analysis I get is actually more similar to Barack Obama than Donald Trump, and I'll tell you why. Donald Trump has this thing about he's going to shake it up, but the reality is Donald Trump is one of the boys. Okay? He's one of the boys. So whatever he does, he's doing for the boys. Barack Obama was never one of the boys. He was never in the club. Okay? So he wasn't like hanging out with them and they coming deals. The sense I get, and the reason why I think it's an important transition, is, and it would augur well for this country to some extent that this particular government
mm-hmm.
doesn't have any much interest in being the government past 5 years, and I'll tell you why. Because it allows you to do things. Okay, it sets you free, and
yes.
we need a set-you-free government
yes.
to change things without caring about getting elected.
There's some things that have to happen. The Prime Minister is committed to make those things happen. As we've seen, some people are going to be they're going to be angry. Some people are going to hurt a little bit for a while. That's what happens when you're changing a system. One of the challenges with changing the system, you got to change the Bahamian mindset.
Well, you know what the biggest
how easy is that going to be?
Yeah.
Not very.
Well, you know what the biggest change of all is when things get really bad
mm-hmm.
is revolution. You cannot get any more painful than revolution.
True.
People die.
True.
Okay, you get so out of hand that a group of people say, I'm not going to take it anymore, and they take over, right? And we don't want to get to that point.
Yeah, we don't need to get there.
Okay, so this has to be, in the words of my good friend, and of course I think the PLP, the quiet revolution, right? But you see, the sense I get is that things are happening and no one's interfering. I'm not, calling for, but I get the feeling that people from all spheres are getting hurt, so to speak. I'm putting that in quotation marks, and the powers that be are not stepping in to rescue anyone. It is what it is.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We gotta as much as possible, and I continue to say as much as possible because I know it's not going to be total, but as much as possible,
right.
This thing is going to be leveled, man.
Yeah.
And that again, that is what my boss promised the Bahamian people. That's what he's trying to do.
And we'll be right back. Boy, Ace Newbold. So let me just ask you, see, this is a first for this country. And when I say first, I mean you are embedded, I think that's the best word I can use, in the office of the Prime Minister. Obviously, there are parameters in terms of what you can discuss and you cannot discuss.
True.
But I want to ask you, and we're very fortunate to have a relationship with you that goes way beyond those years or this moment, goes way back. And so there's a level of trust and certainly a level of respect that I'm not going to cross that line and you're not going to cross any lines. But I think it augurs well for the Bahamian people to hear you in this kind of forum because it gives some kind of seriousness to what it is. Okay? Now, I want to get into this thing about the corruption because it seemed, the whole post-election thing seems to have died down. But it is still the core of the campaign promise, isn't it?
Yes, the whole idea of reform and accountability. This is would you see happening part of the reform agenda, right? We just passed a bill in the House last week, directive public prosecutions, and whatever
because they're saying that it isn't really independent if the minister has, I haven't. I'm going to be honest, we haven't read upon it, so I don't know the pros and cons, but
it's a lot more than what we had, and that's what we have to begin to do. We have to start taking these steps, and so we saying criminal prosecutions. This is your bailiwick.
Okay.
We've never had that before.
Okay.
No politician is going to be appointed to that. Okay. There are rules governing who can be appointed directive public prosecutions. We need to start there. One of several bills. The Ombudsman bill is still to be debated. That's been laid on the table. The Integrity Commission. There's
some corruption bills as well, right?
Well, those are all of these bills are dealing with corruption.
Okay.
And so, but you got to get to them. And people are impatient. Again, I understand that. 6 months. I say 6 months.
Yeah, I see it as reasonable.
Yes, we listen. We already did some things. We passed the bill. We started audits. We look at BPL. Mrs. Osborne is over there turning that thing around. Right?
By the way, Ken Williams will attest to this. I'm sorry, Rogansworth isn't here. That we selected Mr. Hasty on the air.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he can tell you.
Okay.
No, we were literally sitting here, right? Miss Osborne was here. I forget the other lady who was here. Oh, Lord, I forget. I apologize. And Mr. Hasty. And he's talking.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think it was Erica, Ken, and I. We were sitting in the room, and he's talking. And we're like, listening. And then we go, so you're going to be the CEO, right?
Yes. Where you been?
I mean, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But no.
That's what you need.
We've done that.
You got to professionalize this thing, man.
Yes, and there are any number of things. I know Freeport is in a Grand Bahama is in a state, but we got the Valeria back, and next year early, I understand there's going to be another ship. There was some announcement about that. Prime Minister and the Minister for Grand Bahama will talk some more about that, and it's going to be just more than just a ship coming in, but I'll let them announce that. the government has said, listen, we're going to buy Grand Lucayan and sell it to somebody,
Right.
but we're going to buy it. Because we're not, and this Prime Minister said this, we're not going to let those people lose their jobs until we can create some more.
Well, again, that's one of those just really desperate situations.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
The other side of that was we can close this thing down. Government is not going to let that happen.
But I hope too, though, that they don't interfere with whoever they pick to run it, so it doesn't become a dispository for just hiring people.
You know the Prime Minister, right?
I think I'm aware
I think you know a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? The general public needs to know that we're not going to end up in another 1980s hotel corporation debacle where it just becomes a dumping ground for everyone. It has, you can't save everyone with one swoop.
Listen to me. You can't. Prime Minister Minnis used to be the chairman of the Hotel Corporation.
Okay, so
believe me.
Because they divested. That was the year they divested.
He does not wish to be in the hotel business. Mm-hmm. This is doing what you need to do to keep things going. Mm-hmm. Last week, Tech Summit. Talked about it on the campaign trail. Mm-hmm. He says, I want to make Grand Bahama like Silicon Valley. Yeah. He's got Google and Hewlett Packard and Samsung, all of them to come over. Minister Thompson tells me they got a couple of interesting proposals from tech companies to get back to Grand
we can't
Bahama.
Be into this paranoia thing about work permits and all that kind of crap.
No. So we have the commercial enterprises bill on the table as well. Yeah. And we're doing all these things, Ed. Man, this is 6 months.
Right.
It's not going to get turned around in 6 months.
I think we talked about it on this show that you've got to look at always net benefit. We've got to get out of this kind of childishness of, and it's like, you're in the playground and you don't have any marbles and someone else has marbles. So you just, put down the person who has the marbles as opposed to trying to negotiate for some marbles.
Yes.
Okay.
Figure out how they got them.
Exactly. So, if we're going to have a Silicon Valley of the Bahamas, then the reality is there's a lot of expertise that needs to be coming in.
Absolutely.
And someone who's like, and I'm just going to say this, a laborer, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, can't be complaining about the CIO getting a work permit.
Yes. Makes no sense. He's going to create a job for you.
Now, if there's a Bahamian CIO who is there, then he'll make himself known and he'll lobby for that job. Yeah. But 30 guys who, it just can't be. But that takes courage. You see, the key is that takes courage, right?
Yes, it does.
But I saw some interesting little marks because I'm on this run. Okay. Where when you hear the Minister of Immigration say things like, we need to process work permits faster. Yes. Well, this is what causes. By the way, you know why Scotiabank and other banks left this country? Because it was a hassle.
No, Scotia is still here.
Well, no, I don't mean it like that. I'm talking about the
charging people lots of money.
Yeah, but I'm talking about. I'm not getting into their antics. I'm talking about why you saw a lot of downsizing and people, credit card, call centers and all these things. It was too much hassle.
Yeah.
You've got 40 Bahamians working. You need 2 work permits. Mm-hmm. You can't get them. So you say what? You know what? I tell you what. You keep your 40. And we'll take our 2 to Barbados.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm being.
I know.
But we can't
explain to the public. I understand what you're saying.
I'm not being. It's
not literal.
It's hypothetical. Yeah. It's not literal. But it's so maybe. So let me take away that. But I'm just talking about if you want to attract investment.
Yes.
That has a net gain for the Bahamas. It can't be. We have to have all. Because you end up at none.
I don't know that the regulating agencies in the Bahamas are there to make getting permits easier.
If they're needed.
Nah, they're there to put you through as many hoops as they could find.
Oh, you're being facetious. You had me.
I am?
No, see, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that piece. No, but that's the point. The point is, see, so for instance, let me give you an example. Should a regulating agency, and let's use the Ministry of Immigration as an example.
Okay.
By the way, I had some friends go down to the passport office, and I'm going to have Mr. Russell on. They told me that the experience was fairly wonderful. in terms of the processing.
He's and just from my experience with him, he's a great guy. Just his approach.
His approach. So because there's very few, we complain about stuff, right?
All the time.
But we have this thing called an expedited passport. You pay $200, you get your passport in 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get that in the U.S. I don't think. Okay, I think you got to send it to some office and
probably.
Okay, but here's the deal. The policy should be set as to what the parameters are. If the parameters are that if there are no people qualified for this position as either contained or recorded in the Department of Labor or elsewhere, it's not the Immigrations Department's job, I think, to question that if you have all of the requisite requirements to get this thing approved. They just need to be making sure it's not a criminal, it's not a this. Those are the things that are supposed to happen, right?
Well, I think they ought to have that list. I think they must have that list from the Department of Labor.
Well, you got a labor certificate.
Yeah, these are the things that we need to import. These are the people we need to import.
But if you get a labor certificate, you got to get a labor certificate.
Right. Once the Department of Labor says it's okay with us. Yeah. Why are you getting involved in it as well? Yeah. Well, again, that's what I said earlier, right?
Yeah. I just think it's process. It's not even deliberate. It's just process. You think it's deliberate?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of both, and I come back again to saying, I don't know that enough average Bahamians understand that they have a responsibility, an obligation to participate in making their country run properly and effectively. They just think it's somebody else who's supposed to do these things. They could go to work at 9 o'clock.
They don't know their part of the economy.
Their role in all of this. But they should by this time, Ed. There are people who think it's okay, and I mentioned this so many times, I don't know if I mentioned it here. Somebody was telling me about a specific ministry that they worked at where there was this lady who she would bring her back. She would put a bag on the desk at 9 o'clock in the morning. You wouldn't see her for another 4 hours because she had something else to do. And I'm saying, who is this person who thinks it's okay to do that? Of course, the other side is, who is a boss that allows it to happen?
They might have a bag on the table somewhere.
they might as well.
Yeah.
But again, I'm saying, I don't care which government is in power. If you
and I are going to get a lot of flack, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because we have to come to grips with something that politicians, which you and I are not. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not.
And I'm going to get myself in trouble because I deal with like we both have to deal with the civil service.
Yes, we do.
Okay?
We do.
But this is what has to happen here, right now, and we say it with no politicians in the room. The biggest factor of our economy, the biggest segment of goods and services provision in our economy is the public sector.
Yes, it's the biggest.
Okay, it's just the biggest. Okay, all right. So think about this. In order for a private citizen, someone who is not in the civil service, to open up a business, right, that pays taxes, which pays the civil service. Get this now. I go on a little preaching thing here. In order for someone to conduct business, Ken, in this country, so that is a viable business which employs people who then gets taxed, who purchases things that gets taxed, who pays business license taxes. Cool. So then you can pay the people who then process your business license fee, who manage the VAT, who make sure that you get your driver's license, who make sure that the roads are paved and there are no potholes. The people who do this, the people who are paying your salary, you are impeding them from being able to do this so you can make money to pay you.
When I said that earlier, you said you thought I was being facetious.
No, you said it in a different way, so I had to break it down.
I did say it in a different way.
What you say? You say, you know, on the Saturday, something. I had to break it down. Is that a breakdown?
Yeah, it's insane. And so you think, what are you going to do with this?
So
we number 21, the ease of doing business. By the way, Prime Minister's appointed a ease of business committee, Economic Council, and they're working. How do we get to not be number 21 in the ease of doing business?
By doing nothing, because that's what it was. But we did nothing. Other people did things. We did nothing.
Yeah, but the people who are going to have the greatest impact on whether or not we number 121.
Yeah, because the fellow who's selling O. Henry, he ain't involved in that.
He ain't in that.
You don't come here as an investor and say, you know what, I didn't get enough O. Henrys in time.
No, right? So
and by the way, if you want to get O. Henry, you can get them fast.
Listen,
if O. Henry's was the measurement, you're straight. If you get O. Henry and chicken stock, you're straight.
You're straight. Again, that's why the Prime Minister said he wants to review the entire public sector.
But you see, now let me say this, and again, I want to take this off the public sector for a second. A friend of mine said to me once about laborers, construction workers.
Yeah.
Said, listen, man, Bahamian workers aren't any different from any workers anywhere else.
Okay.
He says, if you leave a worker in the United States unsupervised, they'll do exactly what a Bahamian worker will do unsupervised.
I agree with you.
Okay?
And keep your thought, because I want to say this. We always talk about laws and how Americans follow the law. They follow the law.
Because it's accountability.
Yeah, and they know that they will be punished if they don't.
Okay.
We don't do that here as much as we ought to.
So who is, in my view, you know why they're not accountable? Because we the people don't hold them accountable. You should. If I walk into a private sector company and ask for French fries, and the French fries aren't delivered appropriately, I will go to the manager of that company, and I will deal with that, and hopefully that manager will rectify that situation. Who do you go to? But the point is, we don't go to anyone. For some reason, we don't go to anyone when it comes to the public sector.
Because of past experiences, but also because we know the process that you go through.
Well, who do you go to?
You complain forever.
Who do you actually even go to?
You complain to whomever's responsible for the department.
Well, do you realize...
Go to the public service.
But do you realize, right, and I say this think about this now. If you go into a public sector office... Do you get the indication that there is a manager there?
Yeah, depending on where you go.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't really get a feeling like, I just don't know why. You just don't get that same kind of, there's a supervision thing going on here. You just don't get that. But the point is, we as a people, I'm going to take this completely off of the plate of the people and say, it has to stop with us. We have to demand. And by the way, when we say demand, that doesn't mean go in and be rude.
No.
And carry on. You have to go in and you have to demand. And then you also, and there are tons of people, not everyone can do this, but there are lots of people who can do it. You have to say, why is this process this way? I mean, I give the example, one time I went to, I think it was immigration. And they said to me, I said, why am I filling out 3 forms? In triplicate. Why am I doing that? And they said, well, one is for this office, one is for you, and one is for the colonial office in 1988.
Okay. Listen, we got to change systems. But again, think about this as well as we're talking about all these things. Because the people we're talking about are Bahamians.
Right, our brothers and sisters.
Ed, we don't respect each other enough, man. You come in there and I'm like, who do you think he is, man? That's Ed Fields? I don't like him anyway. That's
a close. See, when you go into the States, they don't even know me, right? They don't have any reason to dislike me.
Right, but there are laws and conditions there that they will be called to account if they don't serve you properly.
Yeah, I put them on TV.
We got to get to that. We have to want to do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And people have to know, look, if you treat me in a certain way, there's going to be repercussions for you.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Who causes repercussions to happen?
Well, at the end of the day, my friend, it's a long haul.
Part of it is leadership, Ed.
Yeah.
Part of it is leadership. Yeah. Part of it is what...
It has to come from the top down.
Yeah, well, that's what the Prime Minister is trying to do.
Set,
yeah, that's what he's trying to do with his reform agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, you know the number one way that he can do it, and others below him as the leadership thing goes down?
Tell me.
Is basically don't entertain calls. See, when you know what I'm saying? When Ken don't get his thing,
right?
Because the people say, "Well, Ken, you didn't fill out the forms,
or you didn't qualify,
or you didn't qualify." Well, don't call me.
Don't call me. Well, I can tell you, that's the attitude and the approach of my boss.
Yeah.
Don't.
I'm not in that.
I'm not in that.
You ain't on their run, but I ain't in that.
I ain't in that. Right.
Listen, man, it's 1,000,001 things we can always talk about.
Yeah.
We can never run out of time. You'll be back next month. We'll continue the thing. By that name, I'll figure out a name for you. A thing, a title, a segment.
A segment.
Yeah. My friend,
Anyways,
always
my
a pleasure.
pleasure, always.
Listen, you're doing a good job. I mean, listen, I'm going to say, by the way, the Palmer's Press Club dinner, I got to say, because that's your baby.
Yes, it is. You better be there.
Anthony, I'm going to be away. Anthony Capron is the president now, and that's Saturday.
Saturday, yes.
And where's it at?
At the Hilton.
At the Hilton.
Yes.
You're back home.
Back home, yeah.
Back home.
Yeah,
at the Hilton.
back home.
Who's your guest speaker? Dr. Minnis.
Dr. Minnis.
Dr.
My
Minnis.
boss.
See, you're raising the bar. So listen, man.
Got it, man.
I get plenty kudos for that. But listen, again, plenty kudos for the job. It's and this is what I'll say to you as a friend in front of the people who are listening. It's evolving.
Oh, it is. No question.
You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to do the right thing sometimes, but it's evolving. It's new, and it'll evolve. But the one thing you got going on, man, you can always have that one to say, he was the face.
He was the first.
You sucker. Anyway.
Only
thank
my
you very
friend much. Talk to me like that. Thank you.
I got to talk to you like that. I got to talk to you hard, as they say.
Yes.
You're a good man. All right,
Thank
ladies
you,
and gentlemen, we'll talk to you on Monday, and we'll see you back. I want to thank our guest, Mr. Press Secretary Anthony Ace Newbold. We'll be back on Monday.